people are saying, hey, Kaka, you're Korean, right? Tell us what's happening in Korea right now. We need some insider info. Brother, I may kind of look Korean, but I live in Canada. I don't know shit about what's happening over in Korea, but Moojin got a video. He says how to go from president to unemployed under 6 hours. Basically, from my understanding, my brief ignorant understanding is he is not popular at all in Korea. People fucking despise him, and his wife is into some shady shit as well. So he decided to do a all out Hail Mary play. He crashed out and tried to do dictatorship. He's like, all right, military martial law. And everyone else is like, no. And he's like, wah wah.
Guys, the South Korea situation is crazy, okay? The president's life's absolutely ruined after one of the dumbest decisions I've seen in my life. The dude tried to pull an Emperor Palpatine, but absolutely
I am the Senate.
he failed miserably. Not even half an hour after he stated what he was going to do, the South Koreans all went to the streets and protested. Even though the weather was extremely cold and there was a snowstorm going on, they were not going to deal with his antics.
Let's go.
But this wasn't even close to the craziest thing that happened throughout this incident.
Okay.
You had the leader of the opposing party live stream himself.
7.1. So add 3 zeros after that, bro. 이정면 TV. Bro, he's streaming.
Trying to go against.
He IRL streaming. It's like, I'm cheering for you. I'm cheering for you. Please be careful. Please be careful. My heart is worrying for you.
The order.
Muted. 누가 소리 좀. 소리 좀. Muted. Muted. Mic muted. Mic muted.
To go against the orders of the president. Okay, this was absolutely
소리 안 나요. Muted. Mic muted.
wild. What essentially happened was that the South Korean president enacted martial law hoping to seize full, unquestionable power.
And when you want to pull up with this, you need to have very loyal members in the military. Because if the military thinks that you're a joke and they don't respect you, why would they go through with it? And from what I heard, that's exactly what happened. Even though they were assembled, a lot of the military were like, yo, we don't believe this shit. We're just doing this because it's protocol, but nah, this ain't happening.
The military and seeking to disrupt the entire country. In the end, though, he ended up completely underestimating his own citizens and made a grave miscalculation. Make no mistake, this will be in the history books of your children. So I figured.
Now, I don't know about social studies in America, but in Korean textbooks, absolutely, this is going to go down in history. Because the last time something like this should happen, I think it's been over 40-something years.
We should probably talk about it. Let's do it. On December 3rd, around 10:27 p.m. South Korean time, the South Korean president, with no prior announcement or warning, declared martial law.
And I think the excuse at this point was very vague of something North Korea, Kim Jong-un, therefore I'ma do this.
Emergency martial law, saying that he had to rein in the country because too many politicians were corrupt and working with the enemy, which is North Korea.
Yeah, that one.
He said he wanted to fix the country. Now, under the Constitution of South Korea, the president can by himself actually declare martial law. What he was doing was fully within his rights.
Okay.
But for South Koreans, especially the ones from older generations, martial law was bad news no matter how you worded it.
This is like my dad's time.
Last time a martial law was imposed was in the year of 1980. A rogue general had taken
back then, right? Shitload of protests were happening
over the country and imposed martial law on it, closed down all newspapers, silenced anyone who was against him, arrested politicians, and put the country under dictatorship. Many South Koreans tried to go up against him, but unfortunately left this planet doing so. Let's just.
And this is the unfortunate outcome when the military does align with the interest of, the potential dictator to come into power. And back then, shit did not go well. But this case, this iteration, nah, I think the military thought that President Yoon was a joke.
The martial law order only ended up being lifted in 1981 after 456 days of suffering. And it was only in 1987 that the Sixth Republic of Korea was written. and then put into place in 1988. Ever since then, it's been a democracy and there hasn't been any martial law order imposed.
Until
so
now.
What the hell led us here? How are we here today? Well, Yoon Suk-yeol
Yeah, why is he so unpopular?
has been the president of South Korea since
What I've noticed also is that you're not really a South Korean president or like some sort of important politician if you don't get arrested and go to jail. I'm gonna assume money laundering, embezzlement, bribery, corruption, just all the different things that happens for, you know, these fucking public servants. And I don't think that just because so many South Korean presidents or politician gets, you know, convicted, that it means that Korea is actually corrupt. I think that it proves that the legal system in Korea is willing to convict, right? It's like you're seeing a bias here because a lot of people are getting arrested. But over in America, I don't think they're really all about the convictions for this white crime collar.
2022.
White collar crime.
But very shortly after taking office, he became very disliked by his population. South Koreans were seeing him as ineffective, someone who couldn't put into place impactful policies to advance the country forward.
So he basically just, I don't know what his policies were, but I bet he promised a bunch of nice shit. No student loans, everyone gets a house, and chicken is free. And then he didn't deliver the promises, and people are like, what the fuck?
And by 2024, his approval rating is as low as 20%.
Wah, wah.
This means that 8 out of 10 South Koreans don't like him and want him out of the office.
Damn.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that even Kim Jong-un has a higher approval rating, and he...
Okay, but Kim Jong-un's approval rating is a bit different. Because do you think that this guy's actually smiling and laughing because it's authentic laughs? No. If you don't laugh along when the leader is laughing, you might die. Okay? So the approval ratings, you need to approve, okay? Or something bad will happen.
He wasn't even voted in by his population. He is deeply unpopular.
Holy.
This unpopularity stretches even to the National Assembly, where the party that has the majority of votes is the opposing party, the one who is against the president. They're called the Democratic Party. So
I see. People Power Party, Rebuilding Korea Party, Reform Party, New Future Party, Green Justice, Progressive Party, Live Independent Vacation. So Democratic Party is the opposition, and I guess People Power is the one that's in right now?
He hasn't really had much luck there either, not able to pass the bills he wants to pass. Very recently, on November 29th, 2024, the budget that the president wants to pass for 2025 was cut by $2.9 billion. This was done by the opposition party, the Democratic Party. The same party who's been trying to investigate the wife of the president multiple times now.
This is a spicy shit. I heard the president's wife is into some weird dark shit.
Over corruption charges, and just very recently started the process to impeach the head of the state audit agency and 3 prosecutors involved in those scandals.
Okay.
So as you can see, the president has a bit of a rivalry with the Democratic Party. This led many to theorize that all these things accumulated led him to take the decision of martial law. With the budget cut,
He's just basically a rat just trapped in the corner. Had all these promises he can't deliver on. The opposition, you know, also has a lot of seats there, therefore his bills can't go through. Nobody fucking likes him. He's pushed into this, you know, corner, and he's like, you know what? Martial law. Fuck it. One last play, martial law, rather than stepping down.
being the final nail in the coffin. He saw his political career ending with shame and decided to take a huge risk, but
You know the term crash out? I think that, unironically, it actually fits here. The president of South Korea has indeed crashed out.
it's a risk that stank miles away. It simply didn't smell like the best of intentions. Look, there's two different kinds of martial laws: emergency martial law and security martial law, okay? The most drastic one is emergency martial law,
That's
which
the
is
one
the
we
one
had.
he had imposed. The same one that was used in 1980. So he could essentially close any media publication he wants to, arrest any person on South Korean soil without any arrest warrant needed, impose.
Yo! You can arrest Johnny Somali now! Do you think this is all Johnny Somali's fault? It's like a meme template, like a domino effect. Like a small domino, it's like a guy about to push a small domino, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the first domino is Johnny Somali. And like 7 layers down, it's the president of South Korea. crashing out.
Post curfews, and straight up confiscate someone's bank account if you wanted to. And the list goes on. He can do pretty much anything he wants to with no approval needed. The only thing that can stop him is the National Assembly voting to lift the martial law.
That's right. Parliament voted just in time before military was able to go in. I don't think military was even trying to go in and prevent it, but they voted and it was like, yeah, no, this is not going to happen.
That's the only threat he faces while having absolute power. Panic was starting to set in. Whether you were a normal citizen, someone in the military, a police officer, it didn't matter. Something like this hadn't happened in over 40 years and they had no warning prior. The whole thing was extremely unorganized. Now, unfortunately,
K-pop?
The initial reaction in the West to this was K-pop stans being worried that their favorite K-pop groups were not going to perform anymore because after the martial law was imposed, major entertainment companies were canceling events. But hey, I guess they helped spread the word around.
K-pop artists from major entertainment companies are reportedly receiving continuous calls to refrain from attending events starting tomorrow, following the emergency martial law. Festivals and events are being canceled nationwide. Hey, that's a good thing, right? JYP.
As the news was starting to reach the West,
it's actually, imagine they were so tone deaf that they were like, guys, we know that there's like an unprecedented historical event happening right now, but events are not going to be canceled. We will not be doing refunds for tickets. JYP. Why does he whisper that every time, by the way? If you're not into like K-pop culture, you don't really understand the whole memes surrounding this man known as JYP. But like in any fucking song, like he's like the CEO and he manages idols too, I think, and he coaches them up. And he's like a really good dancer. He sings and shit, but he always has to like at this any time like his like product is out there, his songs or like someone else's songs under his name. It's just like he whispers JYP, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Spread the word around. As the news was starting to reach the West, we received more updates from South Korea. The martial law commander was announced. It was going to be a man by the name of Park An-soo. He then proceeded
Park An-soo
to shock the world with his first announcement after taking over this position. That all activities related to the National Assembly and political parties are now banned.
Ooh.
I think you're starting to understand why this was such a big deal, right? The only people who can stop the martial law have effectively been banned, well, from being able to stop it. It was very...
What a fucking perfect, system. Listen, I'm gonna pull up and say I'm God dictator of Korea, okay? And there's one way they can stop us, and we're gonna ban that too.
Clear now why the president was so secretive, why there were no prior announcements. He had announced the martial law order at 10:30 p.m. so that the National Assembly members could not make it
because it's nighttime, it's bedtime.
To the National Assembly. He wanted to catch them all off guard and take control while they were
so
sleeping.
Sneaky.
All of this was confirmed when a big problem had revealed itself.
Yeah.
The military had been mobilized to block all access to the National Assembly.
And my assumption, I think, is still that the military didn't actually respect the president, right? Because back in 1980 something, like people died. Military fucking shot people. But in this example, I don't think they actually cared enough to like follow him.
The stakes at this point could not have been any higher. The South Koreans were essentially seeing their democracy slip through their fingers, and the older generation was having terrible flashbacks back to the year of 1980.
PTSD.
But South Korean men are obligated to serve in the South Korean military through conscription, and while women are...
I'm still a bit, it's just like... I don't know how I still feel about that. I am very fortunate enough that obviously I immigrated to Canada when I was a young kid back in Korea. I immigrated here when I was in grade 3, elementary school, like 9, 10 years old. Therefore, I don't have to deal, because I'm a Canadian citizen, I don't have to deal with this shit. If you don't have, if you still have Korean citizenship, by the way, and you travel back to Korea and you're of age and you were living somewhere else, you will get detained at the airport and you will be sent into serving the military. Not sure if that's still how they operate, but I'm pretty sure that was the status quo before. And like, I guess there is this like sense of nationalism and loyalty, right? To your country, serve for your country, for your fellow brothers and sisters. But bro, in such a delicate time, I think like military, when does that shit happen? Like, it's pretty much just like around 19 years old, right? And you're supposed to go in there for like 2 years or some shit. It's just like, that is such an important phase of time when now you're going into young adulthood and you're graduating high school and have college plans and, you know, career plans and opportunities like that. And for all that shit to just come to a halt. And you know what the funniest shit is? K-pop idols, celebrities, and even esport gamers such as Faker. I'm not sure if Faker had this happen, but if you are a person of such prominence, such prestige, you can delay that military service because that time that would be spent in the military is such important time required to, because you're at the like prime of your life. Like, you know, these idol shits, you know, fucking esports, it's a young man's game. Therefore, like, they're willing to like delay that shit just because you have that like prestige or celebrity clout and it's important enough for you to, I guess, bypass it.
Are not obligated to.
Faker is exempt completely since he won Asian Games. Here's the thing. Here's the weird thing about that. Because remember, the theme of being conscripted into military service is sense of loyalty and respect for your home country, right? Let's take that into example. Faker accomplishing, you know, such a great feat like winning the Asian Game Olympics, that suddenly rewards him being exempt. But doesn't that seem kind of backwards according to like the fundamentals and the foundations of why you would even serve the nation? It's something about that just seems so backwards. I'm not saying like this is a bad thing for Faker. I'm saying like great for Faker, but it's just like conceptually, like people are just fucking playing charades and talking about nationalistic duty and do it for your home country. But suddenly you win a fucking award and you're just exempt from it. Like that kind of feels backwards.
They can still voluntarily.
Oh yeah, there's also people intentionally like, okay, people try to get very out of shape or act stupid in order to get a better. So either to be disqualified from being conscripted, or there's like also different departments, different like factions and teams of where you would be serving according to, I guess, how fit you are. And some people want like cushy office jobs so they can just fuck around for 2 years on a computer. So they try to go out like the easy way out. I'm pretty sure my cousin, who I haven't talked to in over like 10 years, I think, but I'm pretty sure that's what he fucking did. He was pretty like overweight and he was really out of shape. I'm pretty sure he got away with it.
Join. This meant that they didn't really fear the military as much as a regular person would, and they weren't just gonna back down. Even after
you think that they treat that since they represent the country and since they won, that's probably the logic. Yeah, I guess like Faker is now representing Korea and he just accomplished something so good and therefore it's so respectful. You did this for the motherland, therefore you are exempt from military service. That does make sense.
Fully understanding the situation, the opposition Democratic Party urgently summoned its members of the National Assembly. They were going to go and lift that martial law even if the entire army was standing in their way. The South Korean people were aware of these efforts, so they made their way to the National Assembly to help them. There's this clip right here that went absolutely viral of a woman holding a rifle in front of her and not giving a single shit about what would happen if it was shot. Watch.
Oh shit. Oh god, oh god. Yo, it's all this fucking the women are just fucking getting involved. It's wrestling. You know, these guards with weapons, and you got probably the boyfriend, I don't know, someone else, some random dude. Get it for the Snapchat. Record this shit. Yep, I got it live right now, baby. Oh, I swear, there's 2 of them actually. There's another one right there. They got a whole ass fucking tripod set up. Holy shit, look at that, look at that. Oh my god, yo, put that down. 부끄럽지 않냐? Saying, aren't you embarrassed? Aren't you ashamed what you're doing right now?
The president was not going against the opposition party here. He was going against these regular people. And he had grossly miscalculated just how strong these people were. He had sent the military. He had sent helicopters flying over the National Assembly trying to dissuade people from even approaching it. But nothing was working. The leader of the opposition party live streamed himself.
Again, the live stream chat is so funny because everyone keeps saying Mike's muted. Mike's muted.
Okay, sneaking into the National Assembly by hopping over a fence. Like, this is something that you don't see at all.
This is why sometimes social media is fucking great, man. Leader of the opposition just fucking live streaming right now. Everyone is in fucking chat, just memeing around, but also saying like words of encouragement. They're like, please be careful. You know, we're supporting you. We're rooting for you. Mike's muted.
This is crazy. People were in full defiance here. This is such an incredible image that really shows you how the South Korean people came together very quickly to make
Is that the opposition leader? I don't know, because they're just, you know, supporting his ass right now.
sure that all the parliament members get through to the National Assembly.
All right.
This picture looks like a Renaissance painting. I mean,
It
they're over
does.
here lifting the parliament member up the fence so that
It's just a bit funny because they're touching his butt, but you know, it's just like everyone, the masses are involved supporting, you know, these important politicians to get in there and to vote against, you know, this military rule.
he can go and vote on nullifying
Imagine Trump live streaming, bro. Like that'd be going crazy. Trump fucking IRL streaming would be that would go insane.
this crazy martial law order. You truly don't see this every day. The members were able to sneak into the National Assembly and start the vote. However, the military was still trying to stop them. They
Okay.
were breaking windows and trying to get to the National Assembly.
Damn. Okay. So like my assumption was that the military was really like supportive of the people and were taking the president's words as a joke, but it's looking like they were really like standing on business.
To stop whatever was going on, because under martial law, this was illegal. But again, the South Korean people showed incredible resilience. They put up barricades from inside the National Assembly. I mean, look at this. This is crazy. Look at all this
Nice.
furniture in front of the doors. Good luck getting through that. Okay, it's not happening unless you have a bulldozer. This is what happens when your citizens go through conscription. They were using the military's tactics against them. And thanks
Yeah, that kind of backfires on you, huh? When you've taught the masses how to, you know, just like defend for themselves and to mobilize, the tactics are backfiring.
to their efforts, 190 members of the National Assembly were able to make it and vote yes to lift the martial law order, completely defying the president. Now, of course, this was a great moment, but it didn't mean much just yet.
I was gonna somehow compare this to January 6th insurrection during, you know, Trump's rule the previous season, but I don't think it's really the same, right? Because what was that? That was when the masses were rushing into the White House and taking shit, right? The military were kind of just, military didn't even show up. I think the National Guard was supposed to be called. I think Trump's one of the biggest talking points is like, hey, I told Nancy Pelosi, that bitch, hey, you want the National Guard? I'll send the National Guard. But Pelosi said no, too busy with insider trading, I guess. And then he kind of like deferred that blame onto them. But I don't think this is really the same. I was going to make some sort of like inverse example, but not really.
The president had to acknowledge this and actually order the military to leave. If he didn't, things would have gotten very complicated and he would have been accused of treason.
Ooh.
Thankfully, though, 6 hours after declaring the martial law order, he did another speech acknowledging the National
4 in the morning?
Assembly's vote and completely lifting it.
You gotta feel so fucking stupid. I wonder what he thought. Like going into it, I wonder if he thought he could get away with it or if he always knew that this is like gonna be like a failed plan. Because imagine that, 10:30, remember, you plotted everything. You banned the one thing that can, you know, oppose this shit. And you did this speech at like 10 in the night, 10:30 p.m. or some shit, so that everyone else was sleeping and so that they couldn't have a chance to, you know, fucking vote against it. And then 6 hours later, now he has to make another speech saying, so just a prank, bro. I don't know. Like, I didn't mean it. I didn't really think I'd go through it. Shit, I guess I lost, huh? My bad.
As soon as he did that, the soldiers started leaving the National Assembly, retreating, and getting back to their normal lives.
I wonder what the people thinks about the soldiers, though, right? Because again, maybe the actions of certain soldiers that we saw in this video is probably not indicative of everybody. I don't think the military is necessarily a hive mind, right? So like, I wonder what the people think of like, yo, all these soldiers are fucking trash. Defund the military. Fucking ACAB stuff. Or are they thinking like, oh, you know, there were some people that were doing some fucked up shit, but most people are actually kind and generous and we appreciate your support? I don't know. You see soldiers bow to citizens? That's a good look, right? If they could have like a picture of a bunch of soldiers like bowing to the citizens and that goes viral, that would do really well for like the public image of the military.
The South Korean people pretty much one, making sure to not repeat the same events that had happened in 1980 and all the other martial laws that were abused by people who wanted to stay in power.
Based on the body language, some people, like this guy is like, get out of here. A lot of people just clapping, get out of here.
Stay in power. When things started to calm down, the Democratic Party revealed that the military planned to arrest the Assembly Speaker and party leaders under martial law, which made them review possible insurrection charges. I think it's common sense to say that if you want to arrest your political opponents, that is pretty much against what democracy stands for.
You see this term right over here? You know what a snow Mexican is? It's me. It's Mexico but north. Canadians. Snow Mexico. There's some news of memes. Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau has met with Donald Trump and they apparently had a great talk, and there's some memes spreading around from Trump implying that Canada might become a state of America. That should be a totally separate video.
That's a very serious accusation. Shortly after, the Democratic Party floor leader, Park Chan-dae, called for President Yoon to step down immediately, saying President Yoon cannot avoid the charge of treason. He must step down immediately.
Absolutely.
As this was all happening, the senior aides and secretaries of the president have started resigning.
Roach out. Everybody is just leaving him.
In droves. This was a complete failed coup, okay? He had turned from dictator to clown in the span of like 4 hours. Even his own senior officials can't back him up anymore.
Roach out.
The dude screwed up royally. At this point, it's almost guaranteed that he's going to get impeached and most likely also probably thrown into jail. This was—
Hey, that's okay. Didn't Trump get impeached and almost thrown into jail or some shit? He got a hard-ass mugshot, but he came back. I'm sure this guy can too, right? I don't think this guy can.
It was a massive wake-up call to South Korea because they haven't had to deal with something like this for over 40 years. Thankfully, they were able to avert the crisis, but still, one has to think, what if it did end up working? What would have happened?
That's a very scary thought, right? Of all the things that happened in the 80s, and you saw, you know, those gravestones, right? You saw those tombs. If the military actually started to shoot people, that's a very scary thought, because this situation, like, I don't think there was any death, right? Everything happened so fast, and, you know, the brigading that they did, right? The way that they, like, blocked all the path with the obstacles, like, if they truly wanted to just force it down mid with might, military might, I'm sure they could have done it. That's a scary thought.
And then. But I think the funniest thing in all this is that there are people who slept early and woke up and had no idea this had happened.
Yeah, that must be fucking crazy. I had to go to bed at like 9 p.m., 8 p.m., and you wake up and you're like, what the hell? You're telling me just a historical moment just happened in Korea and I slept through it? What the hell?
Protests and fights in the country with an imminent dictatorship, and are just now finding out, like this person right here who commented on my YouTube post saying, I'm literally in Korea right now for a visit and this shit happens while I was asleep from jet lag. LMAO, my whole Korean family's hella pissed at him and calling him a clown. I saw a lot of confusion about this topic with many people not knowing what happened, so I thought I'd make a quick video explaining it. Hope it helped.
That was a great video.
Thank you for watching till the end.
Yeah, because, like, again, I may be born in Korea, but, like, I don't know shit about Korean politics or what the fuck is going on over there, right? But I heard this news, and then what the hell is actually happening? This is a pretty good summary of, like, what's happened. So basically, president hated by everybody. He just fucking sucks. Wife is also very shady shit. He's like, all right, this is my last moments. I'm going to do an all-out play. All in. Gamba. Military rule. And then people were like, no. And then he was like, okay, am I fired? And people are like, yes. And he's like, okay, bye. He actually fucking crashed out. And yes, isn't half of the South Korea prime ministers in jail? Let's search that up. How many South Korean presidents have been impeached? Let's ask ChatGPT this. Let's see. South Korea, 2 presidents have been impeached. Actually, that's not too bad. I think it, rather than being impeached. Also, this example was fucking crazy. I think the Park Geun-hye example in 2016 had to do with some like cult-like shit. Anyways, there's a lot of examples of South Korean politicians and prime ministers getting impeached or just getting arrested or being convicted of, you know, crime, white-collar crime. And I think that's to demonstrate not that Korea is necessarily corrupt. I think humanity is corrupt. I think there's a lot of corruption happening in America too, but it's that Korea takes its like convictions, right? To condemn these people. The justice system goes all out to actually put these motherfuckers in jail, which is a great thing. And now you have like a confirmation bias of a lot of things happening. It's like kind of like this too. You know, of like Florida Man, right? All the crazy Florida Man, you know, news. It's like, what the hell is going on in Florida? Well, guess what? There's law that states in Florida, like all these crazy criminal cases are public data. Therefore, it's a lot more visible. And now because it's more visible, even though other states probably are crashing out too, it makes it look worse. Anyways, trying to do some fucking PR defense for my homeland of Korea, but please go give Mr. Mujin a like on the video. Here's a link, and I'll see you guys next time.